All right, thank you for staying with us. The program is still Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. As I said earlier, this morning we will be, making a trip. In fact, the trip has started since yesterday, so this is more like the second leg. And it's about what is going down, or what is about to go down. Talking about God's own country, the United States of America, and the race for the White House, which is, today. And it has started, by the way, in the system that the US runs. The early votings have started earlier, but today, November 5th, 2024, who succeeds President Joe Biden? Will he be Kamala Harris, his current vice president, and of course, born to a Jamaican father and an Indian mother? Who will it be? She's the current vice president, and she's running, of course, on the platform of the Democrats, or the former president, who was the 45th president of the United States, served, a term of 4 years, lost at the last time, and he's back. Donald J. Trump, a New Yorker, is back on the ballot today as well. So, who will it be? What are the things that will really shaping people's mind, the decision-making process? By the way, it's been quite a race talking about the events that have led to these points, the two assassination attempts on Donald Trump's life, the presidential debate before now, and of course, Joe Biden was formally, gunning for the ticket, but, he had to step down, endorsed his vice president, Kamala Harris, to continue with the race. The different felony charges against Donald Trump, it appeared in court multiple times. He was acquitted later, and he was cleared to run. So many things have really happened. And to this point, what will he be? Who will he be? We have two gentlemen in the house to give us clarity and some analysis on these issues. Both of them veteran journalists in their own right, and of course, political analysts. We have with us rather, Dr. Femi Adefila. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you today?
Very well. Good to have you here. And of course, Prince Kanmi Ademiluyi. Prince Kanmi Ademiluyi, who's former chairman, Daily Independent. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
All right, very well. So, gentlemen, who will he be? What will he be? What will be the deciding factors? Before now, just like I said in my introductions, many events have happened. The race, the debate, the assassination attempts. It was Joe Biden at some point. He had to step down to say, okay, Kamala Harris, go ahead with this because of some issues. Many things have happened. So up to this point, what are those things that you think and, will form the opinion of people? Because you have the white demography, the blacks, the Hispanics, the Latinos. Many persons will go to the polls with different things on their minds. Let me start with Dr. Femi Adefila. What will you make of the campaign so far to this point?
Well, thank you so very much. The election is an interesting phenomenon, not only to Americans, but to the entire world, because of the role that America plays in geopolitics worldwide. So far, issues that dominate campaigns are around immigration, abortion, inflation. Those have been the dominant issues. Those are issues that are very important to Americans. Those are issues they want someone who will steer the ship of the United States of America in the next 4 years to be very clear on. America prides itself as the bastion of democracy world over, because that is one system that they love so very much. And the campaign has been very, very, very tough. At the initial stage, Trump was cruising home to victory if Joe Biden didn't back up. Because Americans believed that Joe Biden was a bit old for the task ahead, and it wasn't as strong as they would have wanted an American president to be. And the first debate was a calamity that he had with Trump, but reasons prevailed, and he backed off. And that threw up Kamala Harris, who has been a game changer for the Democrat Party. And she's really doing so well. This is going to be the first time we are having a woman No, we had Hillary
Hillary.
Clinton,
Yeah.
but they're having a woman that is actually giving a contender a serious context. Because initially she was doing so well in the opinion poll, she was leading the polls, but now it's a tight race, very tight race because of the issues. She's a lady, don't forget. Democrats, inflation is a major issue that Americans are asking questions about. But so she comes to the table with strengths and weaknesses. Her strength is the fact that she represents a new breed of politicians, a new face, a new dynamic. And that's what she's saying, that I'm here as a new breed. I'm here with a different kind of message. Please listen to me. And if she wins, she'll be the first woman to govern that nation in the history of that nation. She'll be the first woman. And Trump has his own occultic followers who believe that he should return. Some people believe that because of the subversion role he played in January 6th, and it threatened the very foundation of American democracy. He wanted to tweak and to change the dynamics of things in America. But the institutions stood against him. Despite the fact that he has so many cases in court, he is what he is today, and he is where he is today. Today, Americans will decide whether they want to go back to Trump or they want to go with Kamala Harris. And the campaign, like I said, majorly inflation, abortion. You know, in nations like that have gone beyond infrastructure. In this part of the world where we campaign, we speak about hospitals, we think about roads, but those things are taken for granted because institutions have been designed to take care of those social amenities. So by default, they are going to happen anyway. But issues like abortion, does a lady has a right to decide what happens to her, to her body? If she feels that an abortion will constitute serious medical danger to her health, can she abort the pregnancy? The conservatives, Republicans, believe that no, right to life, they are pro-life. But the Democrats believe that, hey, a lady should be able to take decisions. If this pregnancy will constitute nuisance or threat to her health, she can say, no, I don't want this baby. I don't want to carry it to term. So it's a major issue. And don't forget that there was a major Supreme Court ruling that has strengthened that in America. And people are saying that there must be a revisit to that. So she's flying on that, Kamala Harris. And Trump is saying no. And people are losing their life. In the state of Texas, for instance, a lady lost her life because the doctor couldn't rescue her, couldn't take a decision because there's a law. It could have considered an infraction of the law if they had rescued her and aborted her baby. It was a matter of life and death for her. Then immigration. Everybody believes that America is a God's own country. That's how you introduce them. Everybody wants to have a slice of the pie. People are coming in from the south, from the north, from the Caribbean, from South America, from Africa, taking risks. And they believe that there must be a limit to this. We can't continue to open our gate wide for every dictum and Harry and to come in illegally. And it's a major issue. Right? The conservatives are very strong on that. That's where the slogan of Trump is American first. It's not new to him. He's been there, or American first. Democrats believe that we should give immigrants who want to come to America a soft landing. And we can't afford to erect a wall and stuff like that. So those have been the dominant issues. And inflation, for instance, the inflation has been up and down. It's been like a roller coaster, as it were. It comes, it goes, and those are the issues.
All right, so let's move over to Prince Kanmi. I'd like to first ask this foundational question. Since Kamala Harris became the Democrat nominee in July, do you think from July till now she has gained acceptance with the American people? When I mean acceptance, do you think America is ready for a female president?
Well, I mean, America was ready for a female president when Hillary Clinton ran. It was a quirk of the electoral college because, I mean, Hillary Clinton was 3 million votes ahead of Trump, but the electoral college system. So I don't think there's any dispute. If 3 million people, more people than the winner, I don't think there's any dispute about the country being ready. I mean, like any other country, there are loads of misogynists and stuff. It's taking them too long when you consider that Golda Meir was Prime Minister of Israel in 1960, 1961. So it's, and Britain has had how many female prime ministers? So it says a lot about the misogyny in American society. And actually, one thing that I personally find disturbing following the elections is the amount which could cost Kamala Harris the election, the amount of black male voters who are not voting for her. Because if you look at the key swing states like Michigan, like Pennsylvania, yeah. You find that there's that hesitancy amongst the black male voters.
Even in Georgia.
Even in Georgia, and even North Carolina. And that goes back, if you go back to read the late Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan, he was a sociologist, and then he was Democratic Party Senator for New York. And he wrote a landmark book, which was very important, which you should read it actually, published in 1965, on the disintegration of the black family. And he showed, and I think that might be decisive, unfortunately for Kamala Harris today, he showed the erosion of the self-confidence of the black male, from slavery to Jim Crow, and how the black male, I kept thinking about this last night. I said, I didn't want to disappoint doctors. But if you look at the erosion of the confidence of the black male since slavery, the results, and there's a big resentment of successful women. I mean, they don't like people like Evelyn, So, and you have a situation where the last forecast I went before I went to bed, so I don't disappoint doctor and not turn up, was that about 13% of the black male voters in those swing states might vote for Trump.
That's right.
And that actually is alarming, is disturbing. But it's also a fallout of what has happened over the last 100 years. There is actually, I was a long time ago, I also noticed that a long time ago that a lot of the educated black females, in the United States, they had a problem finding black male professionals to marry. A lot of money Nigerians and stuff, because that destruction of confidence was always there. And this is, unfortunately, for Kamala Harris, it might, I hope not, but if 13% of the black male votes are going to end up voting for Trump, there's a big problem.
So are you saying that this vote is basically majorly on the personality of the contender?
It's on the, it's not on issues. No, it's not a policy statement. I mean, one thing I noticed in this campaign is, unfortunately, that I hope she wins, but Harris is a weak candidate. I'm sorry. I mean, I hope she wins, because he's facing a fascist, authoritarian figure who, like I was telling my cousin, he went back to the United States on Friday.
Right.
I said, look, I think you and your wife, you better stay at home after, it's today, after today, because there's going to be violence. I mean, when you have a man there who denies, who is not going to accept election results, like he's in a backwater banana republic. So I said, bros, I think you better stay at home with this guy, because they're already in the state of Washington. The governor has called out the National Guards, and in some other states like Nevada, they are taking preemptive issues, because this guy has winded up his supporters not to accept an election result that is adverse to him.
So we might have a repeat of what happened in 20.
Not might. It will be worse. Because man has winded up his supporters to say that any election result that is adverse to him, so it'll be worse. You're not going to have might. I'm not happy to say that.
All right. You talked about, how the pattern is changing, especially with the black male voters who might be rooting for Donald Trump. And you talked about maybe some of them have confidence issues in, giving a chance to successful female. But one would say, because there are some school of thought who think it's not just about that, there is this, delegitimization. That's what it's called, as the black male vote, especially the parental right, the parental consent that's been taken away gradually, and that's been pushed by the Democrats, by the way, to say everybody have a right. A child can choose to do whatever he wants. He can choose to identify as whatever he or she wants. And, that's the kind of that the parent doesn't really have a say. And that is one thing that won't resonate with a black parent to say, I don't have a voice over my child. I can't decide, what he or she, or just consent to whatever choice he or she wants to make. Being blacks, they are not having that. So they are swinging. And you know what the Republicans are doing to say, no, let the conservative part of them, let everything be in their natural state and let it just follow the other. I'll come to Dr. Adefila. Now, there have been different scenarios. The assassination at times, many of those things that have happened on Donald Trump. There are conspiracy theories that say maybe it was staged, although there's no proof to that yet. For him to carry that sympathy votes from the people and a lot of things, just like you said, at the time it looked like he was coasting home, but it seems, and the way the American election is a bit bizarre. You can't really make a call. So many things can really happen. Let me ask you, at this time, those events, do they really, you have highlighted some parts, you talked about, the abortion rights, immigration, all of those things. Just now, we talked about the personality. What will it be? Because we spoke to some persons, residents of the U.S. yesterday. They said so many persons might say Donald Trump possibly will be a better leader. Forget about his, misdemeanor, his character, the way he's done his things. He's not really, person who followed the books. But Kamala, on the other hand, maybe she's a bit, somebody who does it the way it will be. For you, beyond those policy statements, let's look at the character of the persons involved and let's draw a parallel for an average American. You've been there, you've lived there, you work there. What's the pattern like in that place? The character of the person,
Okay.
and the policy of the party.
I think the two are going to be a fusion of the two factors, and they're going to play a major role in swinging decisions of voters. I think if I were a Republican, I would vote against Trump.
Why so?
Why? Because Republican needs to rescue themselves from the clutches of Trump. Trump has successfully tagged the Republican Party as a fascist political party. Majority of Republicans are not happy with Trump. He has held them down under his own cloud, which is not particularly very good. A vote for Kamala Harris is freedom for Republicans so that they can breathe a breath of fresh air going forward.
Do you think so? Because Trump actually won the primary. There were other
He won the
contenders.
primary. If you study the phenomenon in America,
Why is there vote?
there are families that hold sway within each political party. For instance, today in the Democrat Party, you have the likes of Obama dictating the pace. Before, in the Republican Party, the Bush family played a role. So there's this tendency for every ex-president, former president, to have substantial political control of his political party. Trump was the last president of America, of Republican Party. So that's why he wields so much influence. But I see that because this is a Trump that is attacking the very foundation of American democracy. This is a Trump that threatened to pull out of NATO, the very strength of America. If he had pulled out of NATO, NATO was a child of necessity for America to maintain its hold on geopolitics, globalization, and global leadership. That was the very essence of it. So this was a Trump that fired at the democracy and threatened the democracy of America. So you see, today we have what we call dollar imperialism by virtue of the foresight of former American president. In April 1948, the Marshall Plan was unveiled to bail European nations out after the Second World War. and America generously through the Congress released $13.3 billion US
Okay.
to rescue Europe
Yeah.
out of economic quagmire that they were. And that was the beginning of dollar imperialism. That's how we all spend dollars today.
Yeah.
And they gave them the money, the bailout in dollars. So those are the things. If today America's economy is $29.16 trillion, the biggest economy in the world,
Right.
is because America has managed to maintain its global leadership over the years. And how do you maintain global leadership without multilateralism and bilateralism arrangement? Because America controls world economy. America controls the politics of the world. They control the geopolitics. So this is the very foundation that Trump has been threatening. And of course, his friendship with Russia is a threat to America. So I believe that there are people in the Republican Party who are against Trump and his style of leadership. That if they have their way, take a check.
Yeah.
Virtually everybody that served closely to him have come out to say that this guy does not fit to be American president. His chief of staff, his defense secretary, they've all come out openly that this guy served. We can't afford to have this guy back in the Oval Office. It's a threat to America. Because it's the way he does stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm shocked when some Nigerians at the altar of religion support Trump. Trump, with due respect, is just a scammer, as far as I'm concerned. He's just using religion to scam Americans. He said it before he contested on the platform. It was initially...
He doesn't have a religion.
He doesn't have a religion. That guy started as a Democrat. But when he saw the vulnerability of an average Republican, he elected to contest on that platform. He said Republicans are idiots. They believe whatever they listen to on Fox. So if I choose to contest, I will choose Republican platform to
So
contest.
it's intentional for him to
Yes,
drive
the
that
guy is a
religious
marketer. He's a marketer, he's a
stuff.
strategist. You see, if someone, go and read the history of Trump, has managed to push this narrative that I'm a billionaire, and the real sense of it, this guy has declared that bankruptcy so many times. He has lived a life of lies over the years, and that's paid off for him. So he's not changing his strategy. He managed to win the presidency the first time.
Yeah.
This second time, I believe, I want to believe, by tomorrow, Kamala Harris will be declared as the first female elected president of the United States of America.
That's for Americans.
That's what
over there
that's
that
what
wants
you
to
wish,
vote.
right?
That's what I wish, and that is what every factor is pointing to. I sympathize with what he said about the black voters.
Yeah.
You see, Republicans tend to tax middle class lesser than the Democrats. What Democrats do is this, because they pursue and they push equity, they take from the middle class, from the upper class,
Right.
to finance the people in the lowest rung of the ladder. If my son told me that he's going to pay less tax if Trump is president, he's going to pay more tax if Kamala Harris becomes president. But majority of people are rooting for the personality of Kamala Harris as against, if there had been a strong independent candidate,
Right.
this is the time to have an independent candidate elected, because people are a bit disillusioned about Joe Biden to an extent, and they see it's between it's between the Egyptians and the Red Sea.
You
as
just
it were.
have to make a choice.
You just have to make a choice.
All right.
So the fairest of the choice, the better of the choice is Kamala Harris to me as a
To you.
voter.
All right, that is good that you put it there. Now, before we come to Prince Ademiluyi, you talked about the support, and it's a pattern that leaders, especially former president, will always come handy, whenever their party is getting ready, and you see former president coming up to speak, especially in support of the candidate, and that has not really been the case. For Trump, you talked about his personality, and maybe they are trying to stay away, or they don't have that grip on the party to really have their voice. Could it be intentional? Because you talked about the Bush family. Would that be intentional? You have not seen them that pronounced the way Barack Obama has been going on and on Kamala Harris, matter. Is it because, now I'm trying to draw a parallel, because Kamala, really, you can't say she's an all-out politician like the Barack Obama, who has been there, who has the power of oration, who can, talk to people. You will think, the way we say it in Nigeria here, that Obama has been putting the Kamala Harris campaign on his head. He has been there. He has been very vocal.
That's
the
his
same
job.
thing as Michelle.
That's his job.
Yeah,
As
I know.
a political
Could it be intentional
leader.
that the Bush just chose to just stay down, not necessarily because the megalomania nature of Trump has overshadowed everybody? Maybe it's just a choice.
The Bush has refused to endorse the candidature of Trump because of the danger it constitutes to American democracy. They are protecting the sanctity and integrity of their family. Nobody will put his name online for a kind of a person that Trump is. So you won't see a major political family in America, except this guy, the Kennedy guy, that withdrew as an independent candidate to support him.
Yeah.
And of course, you have Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Elon Musk is a dangerous triangle for America. Elon Musk, Putin, Trump. That's going to be very dangerous for America. Elon Musk has been discovered to have secret dealings with America, with Russia. Elon Musk is a private business person. But if you are that big within the American economic space, you are a security interest to Americans. What you do, what you say, who your friends are, must be under scrutiny, because it can constitute immediate danger to the American society. So I think in the interest of the United States of America, it's good for Kamala Harris to emerge as president.
Point noted.
All right, let's move over to Prince now. It seems Doctor is so big on Kamala winning this race, but then there are people that consider Kamala Harris as a pawn in this game. They think she's not an intentional contender, being that she was not the first to be on that ticket. It was a Biden-Kamala ticket before Biden stepped down, and now it became Kamala Wall's ticket. So I want you to speak to that. Do you think these people are right when they say Kamala is not an intentional contender? She's like a pawn in this game. She was just put there to win the race for the Democrats.
Well, she's a candidate of expediency. I hope she wins, but she's a lightweight, actually. She's light, intellectually. She's not unlike Michelle
Intellectually,
Obama.
as compared to who?
Well, I mean, compared to Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton, she's lightweight. Most of the things I've seen on television.
But she's in contest with Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing
Intellectually, Trump is
that's
no
what I'm
match
saying,
for
as
Kamala
compared
Harris.
to
No, compared to Trump, anybody. Trump is no match for anybody that you know.
That guy blabs.
He talks
says
rubbish
nothing
all the time. But
But they say that he may be an unconventional leader, but he gets the job done.
who?
Comparing 4 years of Donald Trump to 4 years or almost 4 years of Biden's administration, they think Americans have spoken to some of them, they think things were better under Donald
It's
Trump.
unfortunate.
than
A
now.
lot of people actually think they were better off under Trump.
Yeah.
Whether that is reflected in the data but there is actually a disturbing feeling that he was a better manager of the economy. And that could prove decisive in industrial states like Michigan, for example, where a lot of the auto workers. You see, the thing about the Trump thing, to get down to basics, is that Trump represents a current, a dangerous current, but it's always been there in the United States. There's a problem that there are a significant amount of people who believe that they are facing extinction, that their way of life is going. And a lot of the people you're talking about are terrified they will vote for Trump in record numbers because they are not competitive. It's like in the United Kingdom, you have somebody complaining about an immigrant plumber taking his job, right? But you were not trained to be a plumber. You get what I mean? And if you want to understand why Trump might win, I hope not, but I think the odds favor him. Want me to be
You think
honest?
the odds favor him?
Oh yeah, if I was a betting man, it gives me no great joy, but the odds favor him because he's appealing, like Hitler appealed, to those basic base instincts, which is lurking there in human beings. The fear of the unknown, the fear that you're uncompetitive, the fear that, because a lot of his support base are not competitive. You are complaining about immigrants, but can you do the jobs they're doing? It's like members of the Reform Party in the United Kingdom. You say that immigrant, you know, but can you do the job of the plumber? If you're a plumber, like I was telling, guy used to be my driver, you know, he's a friend, you know. I'll tell you, I wish I had the clout to get him a British visa because he was actually trained as a plumber, you know. He's just out of condition, he became a driver.
Wow.
If you're a plumber in the United Kingdom, you earn more than a doctor.
No, anywhere in the global north.
From when I was
very well.
in secondary school, you earn more than a doctor. Just take it. Evelyn is a doctor, I'm a plumber. I just take it that if Evelyn is earning £100, I'm taking home about 117. It's taken for granted. Even before I was born, you get what I mean.
Right.
So you now have the same situation.
And he gets to pay less tax.
It gets to pay less. Thank you for that.
Business person.
Thank you for that.
He pays on what he declares.
Yes. So you have a current in the United States in which people are uncompetitive. They feel they're falling behind. They feel that immigration is stealing the jobs, which, how can you steal a job you're not qualified for? How can somebody steal a job? But it's a real terror.
Right.
And you cannot forget this. And you cannot but the thing is that Trump is an odious person. But that current has always been there because right now, a significant, maybe a majority faction of the white population in the United States, they're frightened because by about 2050, for the first time ever, they'll become a minority. You get what I mean? And this factor has always been there. It's just that Trump represents that fear in the most crude and baseless points. If you can, let me give you an example. I didn't want to say it because it's something I don't like to remember. It terrifies me. You know, when I was 10 years old, we were on holiday in the United States, my parents and some family friends. We were staying next door to the Cow Palace. The Cow Palace Convention Center, you know. This was 60 years ago. I didn't want Evelyn to know I was so old. You know? And so my friend and I actually straight into the Cow Palace. You know, that was where the Republican convention was that nominated Barry Goldwater.
Right.
To play. I've never been that terrified in my life. It was the same thing that you now call Trump. It was ferocious hatred. Myself and their kids, we were 10-year-olds. We were just about, you know, out of about 8,000 people at the Cow Palace, I think there were up to 50 blacks. And, you know, when Rockefeller, who represented what the Bushes represented, came to speak, you see the raw hatred.
Yeah.
60 years later, I don't like to remember. I don't know what I'm telling you now because I don't like to remember.
Still
So you feel
hatred,
the minority have that fear that maybe at some point they might become a minority.
no, the majority, the whites, of course,
Yeah.
by 2050, the whites
There's a
will, for the
statistics to
first
that.
time in the history, you can fact check it on your phone.
And it's global.
Yeah,
And it's very global. And let me correct something.
Yes.
they're terrified.
It's going to be a travesty of fact. If we get the trajectory wrong, Trump inherited a vibrant, prosperous economy from Barack Obama. By the time he was exiting the White House, he bequeathed a battered economy
But there was
on Joe Biden.
There
That was
was
COVID. That was his luck. So it's going to be wrong for someone to ascribe the prosperous economy to the managerial skills of Donald Trump. Unlike Barack Obama, who inherited a battered, depressed economy from Bush.
from this, yeah.
8 years thereafter, he turned it around and bequeathed on Trump a boisterous economy. Unemployment was under 2%. Everything was working well. By the time Trump was exiting, he had mismanaged the treasure that Barack Obama bequeathed on him. So please, it's going to be wrong for someone to ascribe the economy under Trump to his sagacity. I contest that.
But,
You see,
but,
main pro-
you,
just
but
one
you might
minute.
not be able to,
Prove
not that we're not talking about proving now. Yeah, the effect of the COVID, you call it is luck, but it's a major factor. Isn't
That's
it?
right.
Yeah.
But the
Many
way
economies were battered.
the way he managed COVID,
Yeah.
It's terrible.
his utterances was terrible.
It was terrible.
It was terrible. Initially,
There
he
were
was in denial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He called it the China virus, the Chinese virus. He denied it. Oh, it's going to go away. It's going to go away. He refused to take action. Leadership is not a badge. It is a responsibility.
Yeah.
I think it's the one luck that Trump is unfortunately having is that the Kamala campaign is not focusing on the economy and the fact that he was actually a bad economic manager. They're just focusing on personalities, and so I wish they had focused. And Biden himself has achieved a lot. But he has now, but
He has achieved a lot.
he has achieved. But the thing is now that what kind of campaign are these people driving?
Yeah.
That they are not emphasizing your own economic successes.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. That's why I think
Yeah.
she's actually run a very inept campaign.
You know why they can't
I hope she
inch,
wins, but
why they can't
this
inch
is
their
a very
campaign on the
unprofessional-
economy these days.
Why?
You know, Ukraine-Russia war came.
Yeah.
It propelled inflation globally. And what is happening? Geopolitics has not favored the economy in recent times. And it happens. And it's a passing phase. Once we exit this war, the dynamics will change. Everybody is paying for the war in Ukraine. We are all paying for it. Even in Nigeria, we are paying for it. So that actually tweaked the economic success of Biden and migrated it to the negative to some extent.
Yeah.
And inflation was on the rise.
But
very
why
quickly,
focus
right?
on the personality of
You see, the thing is this, right? That one dangerous thing, which I don't understand, is Harris' campaign. If Trump wins, God forbid bad thing, I still think he will win,
why?
is that he's going to raise tariffs on goods from China by 60%,
He has said it.
tariffs from everywhere else by 10%.
That's right.
That is actually going to...
And he make life a hell for blacks.
That's... You see, people are
And
not
he's not
getting the point.
pretentious about
A
that.
10% increase on
He's always
tariffs,
talking about what
right?
he's going to do, yeah.
Look at how that's going to affect retail prices with small retailers across the United States.
But I guess he doesn't care because he has always talked about
Yeah.
America is for America.
Yeah, but the thing is that if the Harris
and he's
campaign,
talking about his issue with China.
you're not
I don't
getting
want-
it.
Yeah.
If you see, he is using those issues to stir up nativist sentiment, resentments against foreigners.
Who are majorly
But
uneducated anyway.
Thank you, because you
They
see,
are
one
bus
of the
drivers,
things
they are
that
truck drivers.
one of the things that
They are
you
the
look at,
intelligent.
a lot of people in Nigeria, I think Doctor will agree with me, tend to look at the United States in the same way they look at the United Kingdom of France. But the United States is not the United Kingdom. It's a very badly educated country.
That's right.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, parts of Nigeria are better educated than Americans. These people are they're not exposed. The amount of Nigerians who have passports, or who, if we had a more efficient passport service,
All right.
will have passports.
Yeah.
It's about 4 times the amount of Americans. How many Americans do you think have any intention of going outside of the States? Even George Bush, the son of a multimillionaire, had spent only 3 days out of the United States when he became president.
Yeah. I know.
You
Let's look at
you
other
people
indices.
go out
yeah.
of Nigeria every other week. You don't
The-
you have to look at the country as a very insular country.
Right. Let's look at one of the indices that might be a factor for some persons. The war in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Actually, the Israel, fighting on so many fronts, and of course the support they are getting from the U.S. Even when the U.S. Anthony Blinken has spoken to Benjamin Netanyahu, guys, slow down for a while. But Benjamin Netanyahu is not having it, and he has said it until he's done with Hamas and Hezbollah and all of them. But then, he's not just the only person paying. It's not just about Israel. It's about the support Israel has been getting from the United States. And many Americans are saying, it's okay. We don't want to keep spending on these fronts again. And it's looking like it's not ending. Taking on so many persons, having a go at him. Dr. Adefila, let me ask you, will this be a factor as well? Because when you check the number, the figure of the money that's been voted into that particular war, and of course, America's support for Ukraine against Russia as well is a lot. There's some demography in America that is saying, we don't want this again. Could that be a factor?
You see, America is a traditional ally of Israel.
Yeah.
no political party negotiates that. The hold that the Jews have on American economy and politics is very strong. And their interests politically, socially, militarily are intertwined and interwoven. Be it Republican or Democrat, you will get, they are in unison when it comes to Israel. They defend Israel. They spend so much money and they are ready to spend so much money to defend Israel. They are traditional allies. There are outcries there. There are people are crying that and saying that, hey, you got to stop this.
Yeah.
But it can be very hypocritical, most often than not. Because America will do anything and everything to protect Israel. It's traditional. It's conventional. They share that unison and they are not ready to compromise that. Now they are propelling a two-state arrangement so that we have Israel and we have Palestine right there. But one thing I find very curious actually is this. We need to be very, very factual when we discuss the Middle East issue. If care is not taken, we may have a regional war on our hand. With what's going on between now, Israel is fighting Libya. Sorry, Iran, I beg your pardon. He's fighting Iran. He's fighting Lebanon. Yemen on the other hand, and of course the war in Gaza rages every day. In Lebanon, in Yemen, in Iran. And we need an holistic solution. This is an historical war, an historical dispute that we need to settle once and for all. Everybody must have a share of the pie. These are brothers who are at war at each other's throat. But one thing I find very curious is this. Each time I see Jews, Israelis in Israel protesting against Netanyahu for the wars he's waging in Gaza, I want to see Palestinians too protesting against Hamas. There are two sides to every coin. But most often than not, when we have a war between the top dog and the underdog, we focus on the top dog. If there wasn't October, was it October 7th?
Yeah.
That wouldn't be what we have on that today. Though I know something prepared that. But October 7th was unprovoked. 1,300 Jews lost their lives in a single sweep. What did you expect a responsible government to do in response to that? Not to say anything?
Of course, to go after them.
As we caution Israel, we should not be hypocritical. We should caution Hamas.
But would that be possible when Palestinians are seen in Hamas freedom fighters?
That is the unfortunate thing about that.
They see them
and
as
we are now paying
their deliverer.
I don't endorse this collective punishment. This corporate punishment. I don't endorse it. But when Hamas, as a group, have adopted the style of using Palestinians as human shield, they've embedded themselves in the school system, in the hospital system, in the basement. What do you expect? And on the other side, they could use their devices to see that, hey, Hamas are operating from hospitals, from schools, from camps, and everything like that. What should they do? I don't endorse the wanton killing. It boggles the mind. And I don't like to see it. We need some measure of peace globally.
But
and
that region are not playing ball.
That's right. Both sides must play ball.
Because so many countries have been trying to intervene. Qatar.
If Netanyahu had lost
Egypt.
his life in the last attack, missile attack on his home, what would have happened? What would have happened? So what I'm saying is this. As we are trying to tell Israel to slow down, we should also tell Hamas to embrace peace. I want Palestinians to carry placards. I've not seen a single one to condemn Hamas. That what you do is killing us. Please stop it.
One might say we might have to wait forever if actually you think Palestinians will do that, because what they are seeing in them, as it appears, is they are seeing them as deliverer, freedom fighter.
So back to the question you actually asked.
Because there are some Americans too who are protesting.
If Trump wins, it's going to get worse.
How
so?
It's going to get worse. You know what? Trump was the first guy that moved American embassy to Jerusalem. It wasn't done before.
From Tel Aviv,
You see, from Tel Aviv, that's right. What I'm saying is this. Trump is more audacious. Trump is a man that does things without recourse to ethics. Whatever he wants to do, he does. So I think Palestinians will be worse for it if he wins.
You know how to ask
There's
that
no
question.
caution whatsoever as far as Trump is concerned.
Because
I mean, the war is still on.
It's raging on.
Because Netanyahu is holding out for a Trump victory. And the key point, which I think Doctor should have emphasized, a large amount of the money that Trump is receiving is from the military-industrial complex. The people who are investing in Trump's campaign want as many wars as possible to continue. You have to factor that in. These guys are not running a charity.
Some will say he led a war-free regime as
Exactly.
American president.
I was about to ask, how many wars were there during
this
this
propaganda,
regime?
but this is a
His
totally different
administration.
situation. I can't see any war, this particular war ending. If Trump gets in, it will intensify because that's what Netanyahu wants.
But he wants victory for Israel at all costs.
It's not just victory for Israel, Doctor. The Israelis have gone from running an apartheid system in the Gaza Strip. They are now into ethnic cleansing. They just want to clean out the entire Palestinian population. So that's
you call
different.
it Palestinian. Netanyahu called them, the Hezbollah, because he didn't use the word
No,
Palestinian.
Hezbollah towards
you
Lebanon.
see, one man's freedom.
Because he said until he has rooted them off.
One man's freedom fighter is another person's
terrorist.
You know, what I'm saying, Prince, is he didn't declare war on Palestine as a state.
Wait now. Margaret Thatcher,
just on Hamas
Margaret
and
Thatcher declared Nelson Mandela as a terrorist. And even went as far and said that he ought to be shot. I don't believe that Hamas, I don't interpret Hamas as a terrorist group. People were forcibly evacuated. I'm talking about forcible evacuation from a land they lived in for centuries. And you want them to accept it quietly. You go and evacuate people from Ikiru after centuries. I don't know how long they've been living in Ikiru. They're not going to quietly go away. There will always be a resistance.
So essentially,
that's why the two-state solution was the best solution. Which the Arabs rejected.
Whatever is going on in the Middle East doesn't have anything on the election. Is that what you're saying, gentlemen?
It has. It has always played a role.
Swing the decision of people on who to go for and in their choice as.
And I think people must be confused as it were.
They are confused.
Because they've seen the support of Biden's government for Israel and they can't imagine the support Trump will give to Israel. When he becomes president.
The other thing is confusing.
So people are actually confused.
But if you look at the polls,
So
Arabs and Muslims in Michigan, a lot of them are actually supporting Trump, which doesn't make sense. I mean, how can a Muslim and an Arab? But they are supporting Trump. In a place like Dearborn, which is a key industrial.
Election is more of an emotional thing. It's an emotional matter. People don't interrogate issues intellectually when it comes to elections. They use some primordial factors.
What over?
World over. It's a global phenomenon. Election is an emotional matter. I support Kamala Harris for some emotional reasons. And I'm a Democrat. I support Mawani.
All right.
She looks like me. That's the truth.
A Jamaican father, an Indian mother.
Yeah.
I wonder where that similarity or
no, she's black. She has some black content.
And that's it for you.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. We're talking about the conversation, and of course, we're in the middle of it already. Who will succeed President Joe Biden and emerge as the 47th president of the United States of America? Who will he be? Kamala Harris or Donald J. Trump? That has been the conversation so far. We take this quick break. When we come back to speak to other matters and try to draw a parallel, especially with what is happening in the U.S. and, of course, in our own nation here. What will it be? What can we do better? Can they learn from us? Can we learn from them? This will form the fulcrum, of the next conversation. Stay with us. It's the Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Be back.
One man had the courage to step forward, to take on the corrupt ruling class, to battle the Washington insiders who raided our factories, pried open our borders, and sent our best Americans to die in desert wars overseas. But the corrupt system fought back. They could never forgive him for taking away their power and giving it to you.
January 20th, 2017 will be remembered as the day the people became the rulers of this nation again.
So they came after his family, his business, and his freedom. one hoax, one injustice after another. But Donald J. Trump pressed on because he wasn't fighting for himself. He was fighting for you.
They're not coming after me, they're coming after you, and I'm just standing in their way.
The Democrat Party tried to throw their opponent behind bars, but Donald Trump would not bow down to tyranny.
I will never quit, I will never bend, I will never break, I will never yield, not even in the face of death itself.
An assassin came within a centimeter of taking his life.
Seeing Donald Trump get up after getting shot in the face, pump his fist in the air, is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life.
Weeks later, a hostile foreign regime, desperate to stop America's comeback, launched their own plot to assassinate President Trump. No American political leader has had to endure what he has endured. He did it for us, for our children, and for our freedom.
We stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. We are going to redeem America's promise and unlock the extraordinary future that is just within our reach.
But now, he is counting on you to finish the job. Only you can ensure all of this struggle ends with our victory. He took a bullet for you. Now, we need you to vote for him, because only you can decide how this journey ends.
Together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America healthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again.
All right, I think the vote here in the studio, only that we don't have the power to run. In fact, we'll have seen where these we head. By the way, but we are still talking about who succeeds Joe Biden as the next president. So many things, sentiments, emotions, policy statement, and all of that as well. As we custom on this end, I want us to draw, similarities, if we can actually do that, with what has happened there. And let's talk about party supremacy, Doctor. It was Joe Biden, with his frailty, with his age. Some call him, the sleepy Joe and all of that because of his disposition to things and his health. A couple of gaps here and there, falls here and there. And he went on the ticket, to give it a go. And then at some point, he had that particular debate that was a disaster, and the pressure really got high. And after a few days, he threw in the towel and endorsed Kamala Harris to say he should go ahead. Many persons will say, if it's in Nigeria, even if the person is on a hospital bed with drips all over his body, or, in ICU, the party supremacy, because we learned at some point, the big spenders were threatening to pull out. We won't endorse this. We won't work with these politicians and say, no, this is not the best that we can. And he, less than a week, stepped down to say, I'm no more doing this. Okay, my vice can go ahead. Is there anything we can learn? Because if it's in Nigeria, even if the person, the contender, is found stealing with a gun, there is a way we explain it away here. Is there a lesson to learn? Talking about party supremacy and ideology, the party will always be supreme. But it seems that that's not the case here in Nigeria.
Yeah, I agree with you to an extent. Don't forget the fact that even in America, there's a convention. They call it right of first refusal. The sitting president has the right of first refusal.
Yeah.
So the second time ticket is given.
Yeah.
If you are sitting president. But with Biden's age, the gaps in his speeches, age takes toll on virtually everybody. We're all human.
Yeah.
When you get older, you degenerate one way or the other. It is natural. People saw degeneration and was becoming embarrassing to America. And unfortunately, Democrat strategists staged that debate. They actually strategized it to prove to American voters that Biden had stuff in him, but it went horrid. The debate didn't go well for Biden. Then there was an outcry from the Democrats within that this guy cannot fly the flag for our party. The very day Obama spoke, I knew that was the end of the road for Biden. he spoke and said Biden must consider. It was a subtle appeal, but it was a subtle threat. They knew that they couldn't go to that election with Biden. If Biden was on the ticket, Trump should have been preparing for his inauguration by now. It would have been very disastrous. Yes, two things: party supremacy, then the ethical nature of American politicians. If Biden had insisted, nobody could have taken the ticket for him by force. That's the truth. But he was proactive. He was attentive. He listened to people and he took decisions based on the preponderance of advice that he got from his party that, hey, you can't go into this party, into this contest with Trump. You are free, you are old. How old is he? 80? 80?
Yeah.
80 years old man. I mean, I think in
81
record, he'll be 81 now, this year.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, on record, he's still the oldest American president in history. So he has done well. And this man has served America from his youthful days. At the time, he was the youngest he was the youngest senator. Now, the oldest. So he has seen it all. Both ends of the divide. So he has done well. But two things came to play: party supremacy and ethical conduct. If he had insisted, there was no option because he got the ticket anyway. But he listened, he was proactive, he was attentive, and he listened to his party, he listened to the people, and he threw in the tool so that Kamala Harris was propelled. And that is, and we need to learn from that.
Exactly.
We need to learn as a nation.
Party
you remember
politics
the
in
drama,
Nigeria, the big spenders.
yeah,
you know what is happening
You remember
right now.
when Umaru Yar'Adua was very sick, how he became a pawn in the chessboard of his immediate lieutenant. We didn't know what was happening to him. We were being deceived. People were taking advantage. So what you don't know is this.
Even his vice was blindsided.
That's right. When you are president or you are governor in a nation like Nigeria or Africa, you are a slave of your immediate caucus because you are their meat ticket. Not because they love you, but they love the fact that you are on this seat. You may be an imbecile, and they are taking advantage of you. That's what we do in this part of the world. So we need to learn a lesson. There's time to come, and there's a time to go. There's an entry door, and there's an exit door to every position. That we should know that. And party is supreme. When your party speaks, because election is like a cooperative society. We almost bring vote on the table before you can win. If you don't win, there's nothing to share. There's no position to share. So thank God he listened to words of counsel. He threw in the towel, and Democrats is even in this race.
Quickly, when do we get to that part in Nigeria, or where did we lose it? Actually, maybe I should start from there, because we have individuals in this nation who are said they are member of a political party, they are working for another political party, and even when the political party, I'm talking about the PDP, now it happens in the APC as well, is about to crumble, they are saying, this is my party, nobody should touch my structure. If you can, I dare you, suspend me, give me a go.
Most of us, when we criticize our politicians, we have forgotten something. These are our cousins, these are our brothers, these are our uncles. What you see within the political space is a reflection of our society, our value system. How ethical are we as a people? That is what they manifest when they step into political office and political spaces. That's what we do as a people. We need to interrogate our value system as a people. Power is very sweet. We love power. We crave power. But we don't know what to do with power. We just want power for power's sake. Most of them do not. It's unfortunate. That's who we are. And I believe that the generation coming after us will do something better to that. We need to revisit our value system.
Right.
To an average American.
You think so?
To be honored. Yeah, we need to do that.
I don't think it's an ethical issue. I think it's a question of a demented political economy based on sharing. I mean, Nigeria had some of the best political parties in the world in the 1950s. When I was a kid, you had political parties in which they had a director of research. had proper manifest. I think this thing came out of the abrogation of the 1963 Constitution. Like you correctly said, what you call politics, well, I don't know. What you call politics in Nigeria has nothing to do with politics, actually. It's about sharing
Positions.
Positions. That's not politics now. Politics is a vocation. It's not a career. So you don't have political parties. You get what I mean? You have special purpose vehicles. Because, look, this country, where I disagree with Doctor, I don't see this as a moral issue. It's a fundamental issue of political economy. This country is a country of very limited areas of economic advancement. What economy do you have that you're talking about? You get what I mean? I'll give you an example.
Yes, please.
The daughter of a classmate of mine, she's like the baby of the family. She's like about 30, 31 years. I was at a marriage about 2 years ago with one child now. That's not the point. The point is that she actually works for a consulting firm. And she earns, I think about, after tax, about 1.8 million naira a month. You don't want to leave that job. I'm not going to mention, I don't want the doctor to give me a bill for advertising.
Yeah.
Big consulting. She's not going to leave a job of 1.8 million, 1.9 a month with fantastic. You can imagine where she'll be in the next 10 years. To come and be anybody's special assistant. The trouble is, the scope for economic advancement in this country is too limited, too narrow for you to have what in real terms is politics, let alone political parties. Apart from politics and religion, where are the roads? You don't even have statistics.
Yes,
How many jobs? No, wait, doctor. How many jobs were created in Nigeria?
Yeah.
In the last 2 years. When I see statistics, which I hope is not true, I hope I go wrong. Maybe you check. Say about 600,000 people are giving youth call discharge certificates. I almost faint. Because what jobs are waiting 600,000 people giving youth call? You see, it's a question of which country.
I agree with what you are saying to an extent.
We don't have any politics in Nigeria,
let me
as far
say
as
this.
I'm concerned.
We cannot but go back to the basis when we discuss issues of this nature. Because as a people, we are in a quagmire. We're in a dark street, politically, socially, economically, to be mined. And I'm beginning to interrogate our DNA as a people. Most often than not, when I interface with people like you who lived in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s, you canonize, you venerate our experience in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s.
Well, it's true.
Yes, I know. And I ask this question. The more we travel further from a colonialism experience, the more we embrace this Armageddon experience. I think in the 50s, we had role models in the colonial masters that we learned from. In the 60s, in the 70s. But the more we travel from that experience, we are turning our back to the ethics and the value system that the colonial masters taught us. I'm beginning to believe that our independence came too early. That's the truth.
How so?
How? Because everything, why must we, Yoruba will say something. Why ni ashidada araye?
I want to translate that.
Because the present leadership have failed us, we continue to remember with nostalgic feelings our leaders of the past.
Doctor, isn't that because in the past we had good institutions? Right now we have personalities bigger than institutions.
That's it.
Our institutions
How
are
come that is happening to
deteriorated.
you? How come that is happening to you? How come you are losing your institutions?
How
come you have bad personalities?
The
Do you
country
think that
has
is proving your point?
It is,
that the father will move away from the colonial
as
masters.
people, we are not ethical.
Doctor, it has
ethics
nothing
is
with
ethics.
I know
it's
you're
cultural.
a religious person.
No, it's not religion
ethics,
now, please. Even religion is a major problem in Nigeria. I don't like religion. I discuss faith. I detest religion because it's hypocritical. It's a lie. It's deceitful. I'm saying that if you travel across Africa, sir, South Africa remains one of the best nations in Africa today in terms of social infrastructure, in terms of ethics. South Africa just exited apartheid experience, right? And they are losing it gradually too. In the next 50 years, Africa will be worse than Nigeria. Because Africans have taken charge.
Because of what you said,
That's
the
right.
farther they move.
From colonial experience, the more we embrace the Armageddon experience.
Is that suggesting that we are inferior?
I'm not going to agree.
Not
to
if-
our colonial masters?
I think we lost our knowledge system. With the knowledge system we pursue now, honestly speaking, because I'm shocked each time I travel abroad and I see the sharp difference between us and them. And I ask myself, why?
Doctor, Nigeria is not at the competitive. Nigeria was actually a very,
Worse.
very
I like the worse.
competitive- I'm
Why not
telling you.
is?
Look, when I was, no, wait. I think that where I differ with Doctor, the country lost it when the 1963 Constitution, which was based on production, was suspended. Thank God it wasn't abrogated. I'll tell you, when I was in secondary school in England,
Right.
you know, this is Agubelewo.
Yeah.
I think this is Agubelewo.
Yes.
If you look at Agubelewo, the western region of Nigeria, they had warehouses full of yam, you know, from Agubelewo, right, Doctor, all the way to, you know, where the Oshun Mall,
Yeah.
and the Wiz as well. They had the same thing. That was in the 60s. They had the same thing in Rotterdam and in Atlanta, Georgia. Of course, the military sold all that stuff, but you see, if under a system like the 1960 and 63 constitutions based on production, you had to feed yourself, not some. No, okay, when did you start hearing of some nonsense?
Gentlemen, because we have to round off and come back to that.
Yeah,
point. I think
the
it's
cultural
still
excuse is a face-saving device that we all use. We just use to save our face.
But
To
look, the thing
protect
is
our
because
failure,
the
that's it.
constitution changed.
No
from
matter the
production to
constitution, with
people
this
no longer have to
mindset, we
work.
continue to
That's
fail.
what I'm telling you, bro.
all right. But let's get back to the
People
matter.
did not have to work again.
Yeah.
That's why you don't have. Okay, you have
right.
which political party?
Prince
do you have in there?
Ademiluyi, one more parallel to draw. You know,
Sorry.
really, when the assassination attempt on Trump's life was made twice, by the way, every political party, Democrats, the Republicans, the ones that doesn't have a party, Blacks, Hispanics, everybody, you know, condemned it. Every political party, Joe Biden himself, Barack Obama, and all of those persons condemned it to say this has no space in our policies. This should not be the way. Now, come here to Nigeria. God forbid if it happens the way we say, God forbid, you'll have been seeing people explaining it. We try to throw many persons under the bus without even waiting for investigation at all. What can we pick from that fact that, okay, if there are things, accidents that happen, just like it happened with Donald Trump, we still have a human face that we should look to, not trying to say, oh, is this religion that caused it? Is this people from this part of the country that caused it? What lesson can we draw from that part? If actually you understand.
Well, I mean, if it had happened in Nigeria, it would have taken a tribal and religious coloration.
Exactly.
And it would have been horrible. I don't even want to think about it. But it's all part of the issues that we have, that the country has no political party based on any ideology. They would have been interpreted as tribal. There would have been a bloodbath. Only God knows what would have happened. So I just hope that, I just pray that it never happens in Nigeria.
All right. We just have to go. So if you will make a call, let's put you on the hot seat. Who will it be, Donald or Kamala Harris?
Don't
Prince
have to ask
Ademiluyi?
Doctor that question.
Yeah. Let me start with Prince Ademiluyi.
I mean, it gives me it makes me very unhappy, actually, because I don't like fascism. This guy has run a campaign that was like the campaign Hitler ran when he won, and the rest is history.
Okay.
It's unfortunate. If I was a betting man, I'm not a betting man.
Yeah,
I don't even have money unless he wins. He win. Well, Trump, unfortunately, he win. Decisively,
Trump.
he won't be close.
Okay.
It's a shame. I'm not happy to say it.
Okay, all
I
right.
can't see him losing.
Dr.
It's a shame.
Adefila.
Makes me feel awful.
By tomorrow or day after, you'll be pumping champagne in the Democrat
Okay.
celebration.
Is the- you know the way we say it around
Evening
here,
champagne.
is the audacity for me. It's the confidence.
Pump champagne.
You know, it's not about who you want, but who you think would win.
Yeah.
Who I think we win and who, you see,
I'll give anything for Harris to win.
there's a particular
She has no
guy
path
in
to
American history
Yeah.
who has rightly and correctly predicted every American president in the last 40 years.
Okay.
He has predicted that Kamala Harris.
And you are still with
There's
us.
always the
I
first
stay with
time.
it. I
Exactly.
stick
I
to
was
that.
just about
Thank you,
to.
There's
gentlemen,
always the first
for your
time.
time and take. There's always the first time, right?
There's always the
I
first
stick
time.
to that.
In
You
the
see,
next
I mean,
24
obviously, I mean,
I will, I
in the
will,
next
I will,
24,
I will buy,
48,
I will
in the
buy,
next
you, I will
15
buy you
now.
a bottle of beer.
Okay,
Okay.
I
I'm
come
looking
to
forward
DC
to
and buy
that.
you a
in the
bottle
next
of beer.
24
I'll
to
hold
40
you.
I
I'll hold you
serious.
to that.
Even
All right.
2 bottles
In
of
the
beer.
next
I'll
24 to
make it
48
3.
hours, the post will be clear. We have with us today the chairman for the Sudanese Communication, of course, veteran by all means, being a journalist and, of course, a political analyst, Dr. Femi Adefila. Thank you for joining us
Thank you so
on
very
the
much.
program today. And, of course, former chairman, former editorial chairman of Daily Independent, veteran journalist as well, political analyst, Prince Kanmi Ademiluyi. Thank you.
Thanks for inviting me.
All right, it's always a
Nice to
pleasure
see
to
you
have
after
you. Evelyn,
1
we must go.
million years.
Yes,
All right.
we must go. Thank you to our esteemed viewers for
Yeah.
being a part of the show this morning. Of course, we'll make a return tomorrow for another interesting time. You can watch a recap of the show on our YouTube channel at Western Spring TV. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and X at Western Spring Television. My name is Evelyn Ohiolei. See you tomorrow.
And of course, Femi Ojo is my name. God willing, we make a return. From both of us, have a very splendid day. Bye.